Good morning, all. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Monday, the 10th of August. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com. It's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, okay. There's something I'm watching here on ES, and that was this rather nice-looking rising support trend line, which has broken overnight. And there's possible... slightly okay, hang on 1 second. I've got a possible weak 6-minute sell signal brewing here on NQ, and actually I've got one on ES, and since I noticed those, they both actually started trying to fix. Now they're only weak, they may not play out, but what I was talking about on Friday morning was that we had three main ways to go, which is one, we're forming a bull flag here, A, B, and we're about to do a C down, which would be lower, maybe get us down to 7,700 or something, or slightly below. Or we could go back up and retest the high, potentially give ourselves a larger retracement with a double top, or head up to the high and continue higher. Hey, Doug. So with those three options, the ABC flag, the possible double top setup, and the continuation higher are all still on the table. But what I would say is we've got a possible weak 6-minute sell signal brewing, and if the market is still here in the same place in 14 minutes, it's going to fix, and we'll have another one on NQ. These aren't quite as good as the full sell signals, but they do tend to make target quite a lot. So we shall see how that goes. But certainly in terms of news, economic news on Friday wasn't good, although it may be that there's going to be there's not going to be an interest rate rise next time because the jobs market is such a complete shambles. But the war news over the weekend was not good, and I think Iran's caught onto this thing about good news about negotiations being announced 10 minutes before the futures because it started bombing ships then on Sunday. And one was bombed just before the futures opened yesterday, which more or less cut off the usual good news, close to a deal, vibe, which generally meant nothing in my view. But it's hard to do when the Iranians are actually actively bombing at the time. In terms of RTY and YM, we do not have a sell signal brewing there. We've got pretty much the same setup here, except, interestingly, the YM, which was leading on the way up, but I noticed made the sell signal target faster on the way down, has actually rallied the least. And on the bigger picture, I've got a possible big trend line being hit here, and I'm wondering whether we've actually made a significant high. In terms of DAX, pretty close to a retest of this high here, very, very close actually, but I don't think it quite managed it. ESDX did manage it. No divergence on either. Nikkei, we've still got the big head and shoulders here. That still hasn't failed. All of the three bearish patterns that I was looking at in my post last week are still active at the moment. They may fail this week, but for now, they haven't failed. All right, looking at those. SO to start off with, obviously we've got a very nice head and shoulders here. It would need to get back up over the right shoulder high at 13,250 to kill that off, and at the moment we're not close to doing that. If it does do that, I would expect to see a retest of this high, and that could represent a pretty large breakout on everything. But we're not close to that at the moment, so we shall see. All right, looking at Tesla. Tesla, I was talking about the possibility this was a bull flag channel, and we did break below that, so that's not a bull flag channel. All right, looking at ES and SPX, I was talking about needing a consolidation for lasting a few days on the when I was writing the post as we were making these highs here last week, and we have been seeing a couple of days of consolidation. It would benefit, I think, for a couple of days more, but nonetheless, we're having the middle band is turning up. The 3SD upper band has been rising steadily. We are making some room to go up. And we could potentially go and do that now if it is going to do that. In terms of if we retest the high, could we get some sell signals? We could get some very nice hourly sell signals, and we could get one on here on SPX. We could get another one on the Qs. We could get another one on Dia. All it needs to do is make a higher high here and a lower high on RSI 14. We don't have a similar signal brewing on IWM. Because we went too low on the last retracement. Looking at Qs, Qs back over the daily middle band, holding and potentially tested as support. The 50 DMA, we have, if we retest this short-term high here, we can get a pretty nice looking RSI 5 sell signal brewing, which would be interesting. But at the moment, we've still got the diamond top here. It hasn't failed because I'm not sure it's got a failure level apart from going back and retesting the high. In terms of Dia, we actually reached, I drew in this trend line as the obvious resistance trend line from the April low, and it's actually reached it. So I'm wondering whether we might be forming a high there. So it's interesting that Dia has now slowed down and is underperforming the others. Looking at Ethereum. Sorry, not Ethereum, IWM. IWM, we've gone back, we've retested the high here, and we've got a very nice looking potential level top. Retest that short-term high, we can get a possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing here as well. IWM went down too low. We're not going to get an early RSI 14 sell signal here. Looking at DAX, retested the high, might see another retest. Nikkei, we've still got a head and shoulders here. That still hasn't failed. It wouldn't need to go up as far here. We'd only need to get back over about 67,700, and that could fail. But this is the third of the three patterns that I was writing about last week, and none of them have failed yet. All right, let's have a look at DX. DX, wondering about a possible little level bottom here. See a rally. Don't have a buy signal. We shall see how that goes. Looking at the other currencies, possible little level top here on Euro, possible little level top on GBP USD. This looks an awful lot like a bear flag forming on USD JPY, which would, if it plays out and retests the low, would be bearish for the dollar. USD CAD, wondering about an overall bull flag forming here. It's not perfect, but it's not bad either. So watching that with interest. Could have a bear flag forming here on Australian dollar, and NZUSD, not sure what's happening here. We're consolidating, and this looks like a bullish consolidation, setting up a retest of this high. We do have an open IHS, which is broken up with a target in the 59.60. All right, looking at ZB. Hey George, looking at ZB. I can do an ES recap at the end if you like. So GBPUSD, ZB, we've got a possible IHS forming, but not a particularly pretty one. Bigger picture, we're still firmly in downtrend, and there's no particular reason we need to see a rally here. ZN, we do have a double bottom, which is broken up with a target in the 109.28 area. Not made any progress since then. Wondering if this is actually a bear flag forming. Looking at oil. Now, oil, we've got, and well, it's easier to see this on the spot chart, so let's have a look at that. This is a nice looking falling wedge, and since I drew it, that's actually broken up. And that is on Brent. And I'm wondering if we might see the same thing happen on WTIC. Now, that's actually almost reached the resistance trend line here, and if it reaches it, that means that both of those falling wedge patterns are valid, which I'd like to see. That actually only needs to go up another 30 cents, 40 cents, and that will reach that trend line. And what I'm wondering is whether this is A, B, C, and whether we're going to go back and retest the high here and potentially go further. And I got to say, the war news is awful, so that is a distinct possibility. But the war going badly and oil going up have not been particularly well correlated so far, and of course they may still not be correlated. We will see. But this is a nice looking setup, which had me leaning towards seeing a C wave higher as soon as I saw it, and at the moment, it's working out all right. All right. In terms of we do have a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed here on coil. We've got one on CL as well. We've got another one on RBOB. All of those could fail easily. In terms of HO, we've got a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed as well. And at the moment, it looks like that may well be failing in 6 minutes when we reach the hour. I'm wondering if all of those are going to fail, because certainly the war news is not good at all. In terms of NG, nice looking double bottom here. I am wondering if we might see a break up. Not a lot to suggest that we're going to see that on the bigger picture chart, but it's a decent looking bottoming pattern, so I'm giving it a shot. GC, we also have a decent looking bottoming pattern, and we're really close to breaking up from it. There's a pretty good case that the low is in. We didn't do the final retest on the gold low, and at the moment, I don't think we need to. We could go straight up from here. We do have a 60-minute sell signal fixed. It's not delivered anything so far, but I'm watching to see whether we break over this resistance here in the 44.70 area and set up a target higher. And on SI, we've already done that. And the double bottom was broken up with a target in the 71.25 to 72.5 area. Palladium also had a nice looking double bottom here, and that too is breaking up with a target in the 1572 1610 range. Not an obvious bottoming pattern forming on platinum, but doesn't mean we won't form one. HG has done the retest on the spot chart, and I'm leaning towards this being a double top, which the obvious next thing to do would be to break down. But this double top here, sorry, I haven't marked that in yet, but this double top here had failed. So never looked like much on the futures chart anyway, but it was pretty good on the spot chart, which is why I marked it in. All right, great. Let's have a look at the other commodities on KC, which seems to have lost all its trend lines at the moment. This still looks like a bullish consolidation. On SB, we went up at and retested this high and may well go higher. Tiny bit of negative divergence here, but nothing compelling saying this is about to stop. CC, this looks like a bullish consolidation on the way back to a retest of this high here. The head and shoulders failed, and that also, as well as the flag, has a target at a retest of this high in about the 64.50 area. Lumber, this is consolidating a bit. I'd like to see this go lower and break the main flag support trend line that I was talking about on the bigger picture webinar last night. CT has retested the previous high and gone higher. On the spot chart, this hasn't actually quite retested this high yet, and I'd like to see that happen. So we shall see. ZW kind of looks like a flag which is breaking up. Corn kind of looks like a flag which might be breaking up too. And soy might be a flag, little oversized and less clear than the others. In terms of ZL, still leaning towards seeing a retest of this high next, not seeing any compelling saying otherwise. Live cattle, this little level top, bottom may be failing, and of course we've got a larger head and shoulders with a target in the 205 area and a retest of this low. 60-minute sell signal has reached the possible near miss target. HE, the IHS that broke up has a target and a retest of this low, and I'm still leaning towards seeing that. We've been making a bit of progress. We do have a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing. All right, great. I'll just recap ES quickly because you were late, George. And here we've got a nice looking little rising support trend line, which has broken down overnight. But we've also got, and I don't know how significant that's going to be, and it's only weak, but we do have a weak 60-minute sell signal, which looks as though it's going to fix in 2 minutes. And on NQ, we have another sell signal, which looks as though it's going to fix in 2 minutes. And what I was saying on Friday was that the three main options were A, B, C. So we could see a lower low, maybe retest the weekly pivot or go a bit below, or we could retest the high, set up a little level top and go down, and or continue higher because we have seen enough consolidation to open up some room on the upside. We will see. The war news has really been pretty bad over the weekend, but that doesn't really seem to have affected the market yet, and it may not. It often seems not to for whatever reason. We will see. All of the bearish patterns that I was looking at on the in my post last week, they're still all in play. And really, I was kind of thinking that 7700 would be a natural area to backtest. If this is an ABC, that would be the obvious next target area. So we shall see. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. All right, cheers.